Patience. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Jiawei Chen and I am the Chief Growth Officer here at Kandao Technology. We are so thrilled to be part of 3DCon again this year and have Gene represent us to introduce our 3D stereoscopic camera with integrated viewer, the QooCam Ego. Kandao is a high-tech startup focused on creating innovative imaging solutions to enrich human life experience. We achieved this goal with our professional cinematic 3D 360 VR cameras, our Ultra HD 360 conferencing devices, and 360 consumer action cameras. The first 3D camera we introduced is the Kandao Obsidian back in 2017. It won the CES Best of Innovation Award in 2017 as a professional cinematic camera with its high-quality image performance, depth mapping algorithms, and user-friendly workflows for stitching. The QooCam Ego is our consumer solution for 3D photography enthusiasts who want a better way to create 3D images and 3D videos. We put the power of content creation into your hands to easily shoot, capture, and instantly view back your content with the attachable viewer. I'm going to let Gene dive a little bit deeper into all the amazing specs and features that we have built into this tool. And we have prepared one QooCam Ego as a giveaway to a lucky winner. You can also purchase our 3D camera on our Amazon store with the coupon in front of you. Thank you so much for having us, and I am sure 3DCon is going to be a huge success this year. Please enjoy!
Okay, that was from the CEO at Kandao, and they've been very nice and cooperative and generous for our convention. I see people sometimes take pictures of the screens. Every screen you see is in a PDF that you can download from the web. So all of it's a 35-page PDF, so you don't have to, anything you see on the screen you'll be able to study at home without having to take pictures from the screen. Okay, I'm not connected with the company. I don't get any money from the company. I don't get any money from the sales. I just thought it would be good to demonstrate the equipment. Okay. We got a nice long program here, so I'm going to go kind of real fast so I can get to everything and answer a few questions. Okay. The company does like $20,000, $30,000 equipment, which is very expensive, and this is their first try into the lower price consumer level. And I want to thank everyone for helping, and I want to thank Kandao. And you can go on Facebook, and there's a couple of real good email groups on there, okay? You all have a sheet with all the specs, so I'm not going to have to read all these specs because they're all on the back of this flyer which everyone got, okay? The retail price of the camera is $369. It varies in price at Amazon, and you do have your coupon. So that was very generous of them, and I greatly appreciate that they're doing this. We had people last year who did take advantage of it. Before we go any further, how many people here do not have a camera?
One of those?
One of these. Good. Okay. That way I can spend a little more time at the very beginning. Okay. You get the camera, you get the cable, battery, and a little bag. These are accessories. Okay. I found that if you attach a handle It's very handy, both for stability and also you can run the battery on here. The cameras, the pros and the cons. The camera has a lot of interesting features. It can do exposures and things which I'll explain. The thing is, it does get hot and can shut down. And it also, the battery drains quite rapidly. I can take 50, 60 pictures in an hour at a museum, and I'll be down to about 50%. But after about an hour's walking out, you can charge it right up. So if you have one of these, you can charge up your phone, you can charge it, you go to lunch and you charge up your camera. You can also run it without the battery with these handheld devices. So I think that I recommend that highly. Okay. This shows the different spots. The camera is semi-waterproof, all very rubberized, so it can take water very easily. Some people have submerged it, but not recommend.
Can I ask a question? So are there removable batteries that you could
Yes, there is.
carry
Yes,
spare battery?
yes, there is a removable battery.
Yeah.
There's an accessory for a charger also. It's got a slot for the chip. The slide. This is where the battery goes. Microphones and so on. Okay. There's a lot of information. Because this is a screen, you can swipe up, down, back, and forward, and it tells you your battery, it tells you your exposure, you can set your range. So it does quite a lot of things, which is really nice. The Fuji is 10 years old, and we keep our fingers crossed that it keeps running fine. But other than that, unless you go into two cameras, which can get kind of expensive, the Ego is around. It's new, and I use both cameras. Okay. Trickiest part about the camera is opening the camera. It's a two-step process where you have to slide this and then pull it open. It's tricky. It'll take you longer to figure out how to open the camera than it will to use the camera. But be aware that it is like that. But once you get it open, I highly recommend you use what they said. You can buy one of their kits, which comes with the flash card. If you don't, I highly recommend you get exactly what they're saying, because some people have gotten cheaper chips and they can't update the firmware. The company has been real good. There's been about 4 firmware updates since it came out. They listened to a lot of feedback from our 3D community, and they've been doing quite a lot. There's way more documentation on it than there used to be, and they've come out with some other features which I'll go over, but that's important. Okay, when you swipe up, and you can swipe down. When you swipe up, you'll get these settings, and I'm going to go over that. When you swipe down, you get your regular Wi-Fi and all your general settings. Okay. On the general settings, you have an account. You can, with Ego, you can turn on and off Wi-Fi, all the regular settings. And we'll go into that Wi-Fi a little later. So when you go here, the first thing you want to do is you want to turn on your Wi-Fi so you can register your camera. And through the phone app, it will let you know when there's a firmware update. Now to connect, there's 2 ways you can connect. If you're at home, you can connect to your home network. If you're not, you use a hotspot on your phone, and you can connect from your phone directly to the camera. That's important and I'll go over that in a little bit later. It's important for several reasons. First of all, it does let you know, and it does handle the firmware. You can download the firmware, put it in the chip, and do it, but it's a whole lot easier just to turn on your phone, and it'll automatically connect. Once you're connected, it'll automatically update the firmware. There's been about 4. There hasn't been one for a little while, but go ahead. All right, first time, this is the firmware updates. And when you get a firmware update, it'll tell you what to do, and it'll say download, you download it, and it'll automatically go from your phone to your camera. And they've done several updates, firmware updates, and they've got some really major things. It started out with the camera with just a shutter on top. And because this is so rubberized and waterproof, you couldn't press the button. It's hard to press the button. Remember, when you turn on the camera, it takes about, hold the button down for about 10, 15 seconds before it turns on. So people were just unable to press the button. So what they did, one of the firmware updates was did put a on the LCD screen shutter, a little dot which you can touch. So they've done some real major firmware updates. Okay.
I went to the next one already.
Yes.
You want one?
It's Facebook. Okay, this is your app, and there's a lot of things you can do settings from your camera on the app. When you're connecting, you press this button here, and it'll search the Wi-Fi. If it doesn't come up the first time, do it a couple times. Sometimes it comes up right away, sometimes it'll take a few times to search the internet. It'll come up with your camera name, and you press the button, and you're connected. You can also download pictures from your camera to the app, and you can manipulate that with adjustments. The other thing, which is kind of handy, I don't use the app as much, but it's available. On the app, you can use it as a remote trigger. So you can put it on this stand that I showed you, set it anywhere, and on your phone, you can automatic trigger. So that's kind of a remote trigger built in. And I didn't tell you at the beginning that the camera has two parts. One part is the camera, the other part is the viewer. What's nice about that is you can walk around with the camera. I put the camera in a, I don't know if you can see with the dark, I put the camera in a little change purse, and I can just hook it on my belt because it's so small. So most of the time I walk around with just the camera, not the viewer. The viewer is very good. There's a whole lot of lenses that they set in here. But like I said, I just walk around with the camera. Okay? Again, you can, like I said, you can use that. They have some things to recommend. Some cameras, people have reported, not the lenses are exactly the same. Sometimes there are, some people say there aren't. Photo Stereo Maker will improve a lot of that. They also found that, again, this is on my download. One of the things is that when they put that little shutter dot on the LCD screen, if you don't have a delicate touch and you go like that, it's going to jiggle the whole camera. It's like one of those elevator things where it's just your heat from your finger triggers it. So you don't have to push the LED, you just basically have to very, very lightly touch it. And of course, just like any other camera, if you're heavy-handed, you're going to jiggle it. So that's one of the things that, if you're not used to digital dots, that's one thing. The other thing they also say, the lenses are more wide-angle than the Fuji. So you can shoot with cropping in mind. Is there anything else in there? Okay,
Sport mode.
I'll go into these. I don't have my glasses on here, so. All right. Okay, when you swipe, the auto is set at 1/15th of a second, which is not real good. So if you change this right here to sport, it's a lot faster, and it's easier to handhold. However, I have done it with 1/15th. I do 1/15th sometimes indoors. I find that comparing the Fuji and the Ego camera, I prefer the Ego camera for indoor shots. It handles low light much better. The Fuji I do more outdoor. One of the good different features, and as I go I'm kind of comparing the Fuji to the Ego. The Ego has focusing, which Some people like, some people don't. You can set it for distances. And when I'm outside, I set it to the second to the last for landscaping. And I don't know if George is here, but we both kind of agree on these kind of settings. Indoors, I kind of do it to this one. Now they just created the last firmware update added an autofocus. Now it's really not autofocus, it's selected focus. Okay? When you click on selected focus, you get a little box. If you lightly touch your finger to that box, it's going to jiggle for a little while and then stop, and then that is in focus. Now, when you do the, if you don't do autofocus, but if you set it for distances, 2 meters, something like that, you'll get a little more of the entire picture. When you do the selective focus, it really selects that area as focus, and everything else is a little less in focus. So sometimes I do that, sometimes I'll do the settings 2 to 4 meters or whatever the number is. And it's just very new, so I'm experimenting with, it's been over a year, I'm still experimenting with things. Okay? The camera comes, again, with this viewer, and you can view the pictures. The screen on the camera is not stereo until you plug in this. And when you plug in this, there is an option for a slideshow. So if you're passing it around to people or something like that, you can set it for a slideshow, and it'll go through all the slides, all your pictures. So be aware sometimes you could have a lot of pictures on your camera. Okay. This is where you would click these 3 buttons. In addition to the up, down, and across, there's some features for this button. And click autoplay, and that'll do a slideshow. Again, it does heat up a little bit. The battery does drain a little bit, but it has a whole lot of features in it, a lot of new features that are kind of nice, and they're still developing. Okay, I also found that opening up BCL, you can do anaglyph with on your computer. If you transfer your files to your computer, you can choose one of the two. Is it VCL? I don't have
VLC.
VLC. It's a free viewer for anything. I use it a lot for any kind of pictures on my computer. But one of the options is it'll take these pictures and show them in anaglyph. So if you want to show that to someone else, you can use it as an anaglyph. Okay. Transferring the pictures, there's 2 ways to do it. The first way is to take the chip out, which it's a microchip. So you got to use your fingers, it's very small. It's a microchip, you put the microchip in a flash drive adapter, and you put it in your computer, and it's just transferring files. The other way is you can plug it in, it's a C connector to USB. At home, I can plug it in, and it pops up in File Explorer, no problem. I got a brand new laptop, and I plugged it in, and it didn't. So I'm not exactly sure why, because it just got the laptop a couple days ago. But it does have 2 ways of doing it. So you can do it by taking the chip out. Okay. There's a couple way unique features that the camera has. Just want to keep an eye on time. You can share your pictures, and you can share your pictures but by not sending the pictures. What you do is you upload the pictures to their server, and it'll give them a code. You send the code by email or on the phone, say 4872. Anyone with a Fuji camera Eagle camera will type in 4862, and there they have your picture. It's nice for sharing. The problem also is that it downloads your picture into their camera. So next. You will get, to ask you if you want to share it for 1 day. It'll be available on their servers for 1 day up to 30 days. And it'll download it and it'll give you this number. So it's kind of nice to share with people, but then you do get their pictures on your chip, which you want to delete. But it's a concept of sharing 3D, which is a brand new sharing concept, which I applaud them for trying. Okay. You can also connect to WeChat. In WeChat, and this is all free, you can upload a group of pictures, say 10 pictures, and it'll give you a code. So if you're sharing 1 picture, you do it with the camera. If you're sharing 10 pictures, you don't want to email 10 pictures to them. You just upload it and you send a 4-digit code to somebody and they can see all 10 pictures. So it's another great way of sharing your pictures without having to send large files over the your email. Okay. Now we're getting into some of the brand new stuff. QooCam Studio. You can download it, and on my handout there is a link on how you can download that. I have several links, and it's on one of the links. This is their movie studio, so you can align things, you can converge it, you can output it in different formats. One of the things I like is that you can take any frame and download that individually. And I think that's very important. I think instead of taking a single shot, sometimes you should take movie. I think the resolution's a little bit better, and you can capture anything you want. So if the person isn't smiling, or you can compare, you can move it around a little and compare. It's like framing your picture, but you've got, instead of bracketing it, you bracket it by the video. So I think that's kind of an interesting way of doing it. Okay? Okay. Half frame is what is good for the LG TVs. And again, here you can see, now you can see it outputs it any way except anaglyph. Okay? So this is how, for half frame. And again, this is on my handout. Okay? Okay. Okay. If you want to do anaglyph for movies, what I do is I bring it into a program called Magix, M-A-G-I-X, and that's a great program to output in any format of stereo you want, half frame, full frame, anaglyph. So I really don't use their studio one, I use Magix, but it's there. When you use their studio, there's 2 choices. One is, this is from the app. There's 2 choices. One is, and you go to your albums. One is for pictures, and the other is for video. And there's different albums. There's an album for in the sky. There's an album for on your phone. Once you align anything you want, you can output it to your phone, and from your phone you can email it or file transfer to your computer. Okay. And again, outputting it. These are your choices for outputting a single picture or video. Okay. Okay. When you are manipulating it on your phone, you have an album. And in the album, you will choose video, photo, or video. And then these are your outputs. You click on this little icon, and then it gets this output. Okay? That's a good one, isn't it? You can use your other side-by-sides in your Ego camera as to view it. You have to use their numbering system. So this is the way you have to renumber your non-Ego photos. And again, outputting it, this is the format that it's going to show when you open it up in your computer. And that's there. Some of them, you can do any number, some of them is proprietary. And again, all of this is on the handout, so I'm not going to bother reading it to you. Okay? In Stereo Photomaker, I use Stereo Photomaker, I'm sure we all, most of you do. And I do the general alignment, but I also do the curves. And I find that tweaking it, most of us tweak it. I find that the tweaking the right-hand side and then copying right to left will bring up the contrast, and you can play around with contrast and saturation. Okay? Okay. I told you about the camera, but the proof is in seeing it. So I have a few pictures that we're going to show you now, and these are pictures taken with the camera. So judge for yourself. These are from the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix. That's the only museum in the country. I think one of the only ones in the world. They have over 6,000 instruments on display. You can, while I'm talking, you can just sequence through. Every country in the world is represented there with a booth, and it shows the evolution of the instruments from every country. It's amazing. When you walk by, there's a screen. You have wireless earphones, and you can hear the actual music of the instruments. Kind of push that. It's a great, it's #1 attraction for Phoenix. It's 10 years old, 11 years old, and it's absolutely amazing. And these are all taken with the Eagle camera, which I think is doing a pretty good job. I was a band director, so you're going to get a few pictures. I have to plug it. Again, I think the indoor features are a lot better. It handles low light very good. Now this picture I took standing, you can tell from where I'm standing, and I went closer. I went too close, and I thought this isn't going to work, and it did. I was only about 3 or 4 inches away from the camera. Because the lenses are so wide angle, you can get a lot closer, and then the stereo photomaker will eliminate the two sides. And I was only 3 or 4 inches away from there. I did have it set on the minimum setting. Again, now, again, it has that adjustment for distance, similar to a rangefinder, but digital. So there's a lot of things in the little camera. That's my house. That's our water conservation. This is a crested Serrero. They're very, very rare, but they are around. 1 in 10,000, I think. That's breakfast. This is an exercise track in our community. Above the pool, one of the pools, there's a walking track. And there's the walking. It's kind of good when it's 120 degrees. It's a whole lot better to walk indoors.
For that one.
What?
That
I
one
looked
wasn't
at
too
some of
good.
these. This is a Chihuly exhibit in Washington State, Seattle. And we're at the desert. And there is some water sometimes. This is a Herd Museum in Phoenix. It's an Indian Culture Museum. Again, all taken indoors, and there's no flash or anything, which probably is good. In the spring, if we have a good winter with some water, the desert is just in total bloom. It's just amazing for a little while. A lot of the cactuses, they bloom in midnight and they're done by noon. You don't touch them. This is an exhibit, my wife took this at the Art Museum in Phoenix. They have a lot of static exhibits. And this one is, who's the artist?
Jeffrey Bean.
Jeffrey Bean. Your wife will tell you who that is. And so it looks like the pictures come out okay. She got very
talk about
close.
this one a second. This one, the yellow flower is what I put the focus on. And it didn't really blur everything else, but it's wherever that little focus box is, that comes out super sharp. That's what I was playing with.
And this is handheld.
And it's indoors. There wasn't that much lighting there.
But I did process it a little bit with Photomaker. But you can't go, I don't want to go back one, you could go back one. Coming soon, they're in development with a VR camera that is similar to the GoPro, but it's coming soon. Okay? All right, thank you very much. We gotta get to the next speaker.
Now that we have had the rice and flowers, the knot is tied. Why, I can visualize such happy hours close by your side. The honeymoon in store is one that you'll adore. I'm gonna take you for a ride. I'll go home and pack my clothes. You go get your these and those, and away we'll go. On off we're gonna shuffle, shuffle off to Buffalo. To Niagara in a sleeper, there's no honeymoon that's cheaper, and the train goes slow. On off we're gonna shuffle, shuffle off to Buffalo. Someday the stork may pay a visit and leave a little souvenir, just a little cute. What is it? But we'll discuss that later, dear. For a little silver quarter, we can have the Pullman porter turn the lights down low. On off we're gonna shuffle, shuffle off to Buffalo.